Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up gay culture. Civil war breaks out in LGBTQ community over Fierté Montréal Pride. A major rupture is shaking the heart of Montreal's LGBTQ scene. Several queer and trans organizations have cut ties with Fierté Montréal, the city's flagship Pride festival, accusing it of fostering a toxic culture and failing to deliver on promises of inclusion and transparency. The split, reported throughout May and June 2025, reflects years of frustration from BIPOC, trans, and grassroots leaders who say they've been sidelined. Community leaders such as Lemrini said, quote, "They don't tell us what they're doing, so we cannot know. They've shown us that they don't care about us," end quote. This deep dissatisfaction has led to the birth of Wild Pride, a bold new festival rejecting corporatized pride. Its organizers described it as anti-racist, anti-Zionist, and rooted in the protest origins of Pride. It's being built by and for those most marginalized, trans folks, queer people of color, and disabled community members. Lemrini said, quote, "We're building something new, a separate Pride festival that reflects our values and lived experiences. Is it a festival? Is it a riot? I think it can be all of that. It can be a safe space, and we won't have a choice but to take care of it ourselves. Our own wild pride," end quote. Wild Pride will feature rallies, workshops, and cultural events focused on radical inclusion and self-determination. Local groups like Origami Customs are backing the movement. Whether Wild Pride marks a turning point or a permanent split, one thing is clear. Montreal's queer community is demanding more than rainbows. They're reclaiming pride. Wow. Well, I mean, here we go again. Pride politics getting very messy, but honestly, Wild Pride sounds like a return to the roots. No corporations, no fluff, just protest, power, beauty, and people, and that I love all of that. Now, in that same breath, by me saying that, I also fear any splits, like us divided is not a good look, like especially during these times, Canada's going through a lot of the same stuff that we are going through. And it kind of rubs me the wrong, I don't want to say rubs me the wrong way. It kind of makes me sad. How about that, right? For a group to basically dismantle and say, no, we're going to go do our shit. I get it. If you're not being if you're not being recognized, seen, heard, and if you don't see yourself in the Pride, I've been a board member of many Prides, of many organizations. If you don't see yourself being seen or being represented, why would you want to work for them? Why would you want to be a part of that? So I get their point, and usually I'm like, yay, another Pride, but I'm kind of like during this time, it just kind of worries me.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. All right. I'm like a much larger issue for me in general. I think we have too many letters. That's my Trinidadi situation. I don't like that there's LGBT. We're all kind of part of under the same umbrella, and we need to stop looking at each other as that we're so radically different. Yes, we are all individually different. We all have different views. Not two gay men are not the same, right? Two lesbians are not the same, right? But we used to be united in that we were against all the other people, Yeah. I mean, like all the oppression. And it's like, I remember back at a time where, you meet another gay person, and they could be a gay Filipino or something, right? We didn't even talk about race. It wasn't like you Filipino, you brown, you this, whatever, because we had such a commonality. Like everybody else hates us. We have our own little subculture that, we're part of our own secret club, And we've just lost that over the past 15, 20 years as to where now somebody's like, well, you don't know my experience as a gay white man or mine as a gay black man and this, and we talk more about our differences than our similarities. This should be a great time for everybody to be included. And if you don't feel like you're included in it, just make yourself known. Put out some ideas. There's ways to kind of kiss and make up and do it instead of we're going to take our ball and our bat and go somewhere else. And now we're going to compete for more corporate dollars. Even though they say that they're not for corporate money, you can't survive off of not having businesses. Maybe they're smaller businesses. And the only thing I can think of that maybe is a good point in all this whole story is that maybe we should be just less dependent on corporate dollars for everything, because the moment that somebody pulls out or there's a scandal, it's like, are we going to have Pride or not? We should kind of scale it back a little bit to where we could do it without the huge profit margin or the huge, break even point, so that in case people do have a backlash and they pull out money, that we can still be who we are and still do what we want and not be a slave to that. Yeah. That's the only other thing.
Well, and without corporate money, it's really hard to get those big stages, right? And those big DJs, right? And none of that is Pride. None of that is how Pride started, right? Mm-hmm. Pride started, the stage probably was on the grass. You know what I mean? They probably had a boombox,
grassroots
speaker,
for real,
right? Grassroots for real. They probably had a speaker and a microphone, and that was it. I don't know how we got to this where we're at, and I think the beginning of our demise was when it started becoming more and more about money and corporate sponsors and stuff like that, and less about our protests and our rights.
When we start giving our money, or I should say, we start letting their money talk, that's when we give power to them versus to us. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've done in a lot of situations.
Which is why we need the older queers who are retired and just sitting on cash because they ain't going to no children, you ain't got no kids. Pour it back into your community. Mm-hmm. You keep funding rent boys and trips to Dubai. Pour that money back into your own community so we don't have to rely on these corporations to hang us by a string. Now, way back in the heyday, we didn't have conversations. We were just like one queer club, but then a lot of conversations weren't being had, such as, to be very poignant, how Black people were treated in the queer community. So there was a lot of racism that wasn't being, well, no, it was, but not in a platform as it should have been. So I am happy that we've developed towards a place where race is a part of the conversation, your unique identity is a part of the conversation, your gender identity is a part of the conversation. And yes, that can be divisive, but for so long, these people had to stay dormant because they didn't feel like they could be seen. Yeah. So I am happy that they are now visible. Yeah. With that being said, be visible, let's be together. We are all queer, we're all not hetero. Our gender identity and our sexuality means we are not the majority. We do not have the privilege. And that is the first step we need to take in order to come together, realizing that we're more alike than we are different. And again, older, rich, gay folk, queer folk, all y'all, give your money to us, to me. Bonnie Builder on Venmo, Cash App and PayPal. Okay, just give your money back into the community.
I love the big stages and all that stuff too, but if on Lummis Park at Miami Beach Pride, right? If you just put up some, what are those little water slides and things like the inflatable stuff, put on a boom up, we would have a good time.
Yeah.
Too. We don't need all of that to have the best time. Sometimes it's just the smaller things and we just all around each other. We don't necessarily need a VIP ticket that excludes half the people because they can't afford it.
Right, on the same beach. On the same beach. Under the same sun.
And it's messed up because your friends be waving at you from the VIP. Hi, peon. Hi. That's messed up.
I got away from from VIP. I was like, yo, what's up, Faye, over there? 20 feet away. We're like, okay, you stay over there.
In the front, coming from the same parking garage. It's crazy.
That is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.